We're 5 minutes late. You're live, but we are 5 minutes late.
Am I live right now?
You are live right now, I think. So,
well,
why don't you try?
welcome folks who are here, and welcome folks online. We are Sacred Ground, and I am Parson Michael. And as many of you know, we are a melding trying to draw from the beneficial teachings of Buddhism, Christianity, and earth-centered spirituality. We've been around for a while, since 2009. And in the last couple of years, we've been doing this wild church where we are outside for, boy, we try to do at least 3 Sunday services a month outside, maybe maybe fewer in December. We might have a couple more indoor ones. And then we also have been doing outside services on Friday afternoons. So one of the keys to all this, at least in my thinking, is mindfulness. And mindfulness, you might have heard this word in school. They're talking a lot about mindfulness these days. And basically, what it means is being present. And it's so simple, but it's a little bit challenging sometimes. And I'm going to invite the bell to sound, and then I'm going to lead us in a guided mindfulness meditation. Now, when we hear the bell, we're invited to simply enjoy the sound of this bell. Whatever we were worried about 5 minutes ago or yesterday, we try to let go. Whatever concerns we have for the future, whether that be tonight or the next several years, we just try to be present, or we invite ourselves to be present to this moment and this sound right here, right now. Enjoy. And of course, everything's an invite. No obligation to participate in any way. It's all just an invite. You may also hear the train there for cars. Planes. One of our foundational teachers is the late Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk. His name was Thich Nhat Hanh. And when our kiddos were 7 years old or younger and older, we actually would go on retreats with Thich Nhat Hanh. And one of the things he said is, whether it's the sound of a train or a plane or a car, we can take all of those as invitations to presence. So I like when I can remember that. So I'm going to invite you right now. And again, you can sit back and watch and say, okay, I'm just going to observe this, or you can participate, whatever is most appropriate for you. But I'm going to invite us right now into meditation, into uh, guided mindfulness. So I invite you to notice how you're sitting. You might want to have your feet flat on the floor. You might want to be aware of your spine, your back. Sometimes our back is called, our spine is like a spiritual highway. We don't want to be super rigid and stiff, but if we're just a little bit more aware of the up and down nature of our back, so many of us have jobs where we're slunched over computers and things like that. So if we're a little bit more aware of that up and down element of our back, it kind of just helps the energy to flow. There again's the train. So next I invite you, I might pause when I hear that train whistle. Next I invite you to just be aware of your body. Your 2 ears, which enable you to hear that train. Your fingers, you might want to wiggle your fingers a little bit. Your toes, you might want to move your toes. Aware of your in-breath. And your out. Here, those of us who are outside, aware of the nice little breeze, the November air on our faces, in our hair. And I invite you to, as you're breathing in, invite yourself to breathe all the way, kind of drop that breath all the way. I like to say drop it all the way into your hips. Whatever that might mean to you, just breathing in and then out. And on that out breath, you can let your shoulders just drop a little. Not forcing them down, but just letting gravity let them loosen up. In and out. I'm inviting myself right now to breathe all the way down to those sit bones. I've got a little arthritis in my hips and just breathing all the way in and out. You might feel that little, as the shoulders lower, you might feel that your back expand, your spine kind of articulate, expand a little longer. In and out. In and out. And now we'll just take a couple of breaths without my words, just with a little bit of silence and the sounds around us. I was reading some words from the Reverend Norman Vincent Peale. He's the Power of Positive Thinking guy. And I think the Dalai Lama said, it's kind of simple, but there's a lot of truth in it. And he's writing back in the early 1950s. And he's like, we're all just moving so fast now. Everything's just speeding along so much. People don't have any time to just kind of slow down and take it easy. And, you know, I'm old, but I'm not from the 50s. That's before my time. And, you know, I watch old Leave It to Beaver or something, and I look with, oh my gosh, look at this. I know it's idealized, but look at this slow pace of life. And if he was considering that fast, dear me, what would the dear Reverend think in 2024? So I think it's just such a blessing and such a gift we give ourselves, and to me it's a gift from God of just being able to slow down with y'all.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second?
Sure can.
Since you all are new, Holly and Michael always bring blankets.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah, if anybody's
They
cold,
shade you look cold.
Those are
Yeah.
for the use.
this is a nice one. Would you like what? Would you like it? Okay. Well, if you
Wanna
want it,
make
it's
sure.
here. And there's a bigger one right here.
Okay.
Yeah. We want everybody to be as comfortable as they can.
I'm a dad, but I tell you that I do appreciate the mom energy there. I don't want to be, you know, I know things are wider and you know that, but like.
Well, plus Michael takes his shoes off.
I do. I'm probably
So-
you know, now you're challenging me, so I probably will.
It's warm. We're gonna invite us right now to think about this space that we're in. And just spend a moment kind of looking around. We're at this park here at Sharon Woods in Columbus, Ohio. This morning, when Michael and I got here about an hour ago, just felt such blessing being able to come into this park on this Sunday morning, being able to spend this time outside. And we're here quite a lot. We've been here for a year and a half or so, come into this space. And so being able to see these beings around us, the trees, the birds that we're hearing this morning, and to experience the changes in the seasons. We are going to do a humble invocation, we call it, a Namaste Vows, where we just look around us and pick one specific thing and show gratitude to it. And this morning our theme is loving kindness, and so what I invite us to say, and I'll give an example of this, but we're going to look at something. So I would look at these leaves right here. These beautiful leaves that were green that we saw on the trees last spring, sprouting out, and now have lived out their life, and we're going to honor them. And this week we're going to say, with eyes of loving kindness we see you. So I would just say, to the leaves, with eyes of loving kindness we see you. And so I'm going to invite anyone who wants to find something else that they want with their eyes of loving kindness to acknowledge around us this morning. I'm going to say to that sun coming out from behind the clouds this morning when I thought it was going to be cloudy. I knew it was going to be chilly, but that sun is so beautiful. So to the sun, with eyes of loving kindness, we see you.
Shannon bowing in. I see, as Ali said, we're here a lot, so we get to see the changes just in this little home right here, everything that lives here. And I noticed the top of this acorn. And don't remember what we're supposed to say.
With eyes of loving kindness, we see you.
And folks at home,
Yeah, and if
you're
any,
watching, you're welcome to add that to the. Would that be on the chat?
On the chat, I think it's a live chat. So anyone at home who wants to acknowledge anything around them, thank you. A reminder, yes.
I just can acknowledge the sky. We watched a movie last night where in the movie it's this like, it wasn't a real heavy movie, even though it was this post-apocalyptic thing, but the we didn't have the protection of the ozone layer, the protection that the sky gives us too, that enables us to live here. And I almost never think about that, like what that sky gives us. And so,
with eyes of loving kindness, we see you.
Scott bowing in. I want to acknowledge I saw a bird just fly that way. So, with eyes of loving kindness, we see you.
Now we're going to take a minute to honor the sacred in each other. And so we'll stand and just do a namaste bow to each other. So that is just kind of looking at the other person and bowing to them and honoring sacred inside each of us. So, and if you want to be in front of the camera, you can bow here or not. So,
and you folks are welcome to, as some of us come around and bow to you. Those of you who are online are welcome to bow back to us here as well, as we try to recognize the loving kindness in each other.
Yes.
Yeah, and we also offer loving kindness to the ancestors who are here with us, the native peoples here where we are, the Shawnee and Hopewell and Adena peoples. But also, all of us are bringing our own ancestors with us, both our biological ancestors, but our teachers, our mentors, those who have inspired us. So we honor them as well as all of this wonderful Greater Earthen family that is hosting us today. So thank y'all for hosting us. Trees and grass and leaves, etc. What's that bell over there? Oh, here's the bell. Oh, do you want to see if anyone...
Oh, yeah, we have a whole bunch.
Oh, good.
Michael says, good morning, all. Blessings for our gathering and peace to each of us. Stacy says, beautiful morning blessings. And to our sweet pups with eyes of loving kindness, we see you. Stacy and Mark have beautiful dogs that they love very much. And Shannon says, I'm looking at rocks outside my window. Thank you, everybody, for sharing with us. Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge here that, like, not only did we get to acknowledge each other and nature, but we have folks acknowledging their dogs outside of Pittsburgh, rocks in maybe
St. Louis?
St. Louis, maybe.
Missouri, maybe
I mean,
Missouri.
that's all happening simultaneously, and it touches my spirit. So, thank you, Miss Officer. I'll invite the bell to sound, and then we'll have our readings. We're invited to enjoy this moment, which is all we have. As some of you know, I've had an interest in Buddhism for a long time, but I grew up with both Protestant and Catholic tradition. And I love when I found within Buddhism this idea of loving kindness, oftentimes hyphenated. Because, it's like, love is good, kind is good, so let's put it together. And I would see it from a lot of different Buddhist writers. And then one day I happened to be reading, because I love words, and I would submit you can't beat the King James Bible for words, for old-fashioned words. And I saw in there loving kindness again and again. And I've learned that the phrase loving kindness is used in King James translation over 25 times. And so for our first reading, we're going to share a sampling from Psalms of loving kindness. And again, this points to my great joy in trying to draw from the good in different traditions. Psalm 26, verse 3. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. Did you get the bell between each of these?
Okay.
Psalm 36, verse 7. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. Psalm 40, verse 11. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. Psalm 63, verse 3. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. Psalm 89, verse 33. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. Psalm 107, verse 43. Whoso is wise and will observe these things, even they shall understand the loving kindness of the Lord. And one last one, Psalm 143, verse 8. Cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning, for in thee do I trust. Cause me to know the way wherein I should walk, for I lift up my soul unto thee.
So the second readings are going to be a sampling of loving kindness as referred to in Buddhism as well. You can decide. So these are all from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching. Page 165. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to cultivating loving kindness and learning ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. Page 280. The Buddha of the 21st century, Maitreya, the Buddha of love, may well be a community rather than an individual. Sanghas that practice loving kindness and compassion are the Buddha we need. We can prepare the ground for bringing that Buddha to life, for our sake and for the sake of countless others, by transforming our own suffering and cultivating the art of Sangha building. It is the most important work we can do. Page 407. When we see people suffering or in pain, a feeling in us gives rise to the energy of loving kindness, the desire and the capacity to offer real joy, and this leads to the energy of compassion, the desire and the capacity to help living beings put an end to their suffering. And finally, on page 411, Bodhisattvas vow to come back again and again to serve. not because of craving, but because of their concern and willingness to help. The practice of mindful living develops the same kind of wisdom, concern, and loving kindness in us so we can serve.
We have a song and then the third reading?
Is that okay,
Yeah.
Scott? So Scott has a song for us this morning.
Well, I'm going to play a hymn. This song is called Great is Thy Faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Though changes not thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, though forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness. Great is thy faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Thank you, Scott.
Bringing back memories from my mom's church from long ago. Thank you so much, Scott. Our third reading, our final reading, comes from Dom Elred Graham's book from 1963, Zen Catholicism. And that just is a little reminder of people have been considering blendings and meldings and juxtaposings of East and West for a long time. And here are Graham's words, excerpts from pages 38 and 39, writing in 1963. What makes for happiness? We are conditioned in the West to make large demands on our environment. feeding the illusion that to raise the standard of living is equivalent to nourishing the human spirit. 1963. Against this background, it must be acknowledged that the Buddha's teaching on the omnipresence of suffering and the means to its relief appears more relevant to our needs than not a few of the popular presentations of Christianity. He's a priest, by the way. We need to be reminded, as the Hebrew prophets insisted, that it is much easier to worship God than it is to do His will. Less self-giving is demanded to answer the summons to go regularly to church than to fulfill the requirement of Christ and the Buddha alike to have loving kindness and be compassionate. This is not to decry either popular Christianity or church-going, but to urge that we see both in due perspective. Each individual, all that he or she is and has, including their thoughts and free choices, is totally subject to the God whose intent it is to enlighten us increasingly by His presence. If only, felt a wave of emotion. If only we consent to let our eyes be opened. From Zen Catholicism by Dom Alred.
And Shannon, would you like to sit in his seat with the cushion or my seat without the cushion?
I will sit right here.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Shannon, bowing in. And excuse the sunglasses. I had cataract surgery a while ago, and being a pale-eyed person anyway, I really can't have the sun in my face. So anyway, last week when I was here with Ollie and Michael in the rain and wind, I mentioned loving kindness, a metta practice that my son Henry taught me, and I feel like I have mentioned how I got to even know about Thai, Thich Nhat Hanh, was from our son Henry. I just want to give a little introduction with that, just a minute or two. Henry is no longer at Deer Park as a monk, but he really felt called to do that. So he spent 2 years over at Deer Park. And so what he did, and then this summer, he lives here now, he's engaged, he just decided the monastic life wasn't for him, but he has a lot of has a lot there that he's taught me. Because like I said, I'd never even heard of this dude, Thich Nhat Hanh, when he said he was going to go out there. And my husband hadn't either. I don't know where we were. But in any event, Thai has really nourished my life ever since. And it's all through our son, Henry. So this summer, Henry wanted to do a Vipassana retreat in New York State. So he did that, and he came back really he asked me if I could kind of be a practice student, but they're very strict about he couldn't be a teacher, but would I like to learn it with him? So I was all for that. I'd never done Vipassana. So what he ended up doing at the conclusion of our 10 weeks this summer doing this together is he taught me a metta, a loving kindness guided meditation. And I use it all the time, and I used it all the time in this election. And it is transformative for me. And I do want to just make it clear, there are lots of different variations of this mindfulness, this metta. I keep saying metta for those that don't know that's another word for loving kindness, METTA. And so in Henry's case, because I asked him for permission if this would be all right for me to share, and he said that he felt like the people in the Vipassana tradition that he learned from would be fine with it. They'd be glad I was using it. And so what Henry did, because the Vipassana, the person that brought Vipassana to the West was S.N. Goenka, and I'm sorry if I'm not getting these pronunciations just right. And so Henry learned the Vipassana flow. The words are all from Deer Park that Henry learned while he was there as a monk and as a student. And again, you can do whatever you want. This is not set in stone by any means. And in fact, I read something from a teacher, Gil Fronsell, on Tricycle Buddhist Review, which I read almost every morning. And he said, you just do whatever you want with these words. Depending on who you're doing this loving meditation, this loving kindness meditation for, what the intention is, you move it around like you want to. And that's just so cool, because that's not the kind of church I grew up in. That's for sure. So anyway, I'm gonna do what I've taught by my son, what I really like about it, but just keep in mind, and I'm gonna emphasize different words. You do whatever you want with them, however you feel like it. But I really hope that it helps you as much as it's helped me. And I will say, because I'm going through first I, then you, then we, then all. And the common recommendation is to start off with people that you already love and then take it from there as you feel comfortable. Maybe somebody with whom you've had a disagreement, with someone in a position of leadership that you really can't understand. Anything. Someone who you had a disagreement with on the highway. I hope that never happens. But you do what you want with it. But that's where it's really helped me the most, is all through the election, I use this to reach out to my neighbors with whom I have political differences. Just specifically that. It helped me so much to continue to see them as humans just like me, and that I'm connected to them just like I'm connected with everything. And it really made a tremendous difference. And I also use it to directly connect with people in positions of leadership with whom I vociferously disagree, so that I continue to see these people as people, no more or less than I am. But you can use it for animals, you can use it for plants, you can just whatever you want. So it just takes 3 or 4 minutes. So first you want to take 2 or 3 deep breaths in and out, like we do here every week. And since we've already done that, I won't do that today. Just one in and then out. And I encourage you to put a little smile on your face. And one other thing. Gil Fronsell reminds you that this is not artificial loving kindness. sometimes when we do this practice, your heart is not feeling it. And they all recommend, don't make it artificial. This is not plaster a big smile on your face and grin and bear it. If you feel a different type of emotion, anger, grief, sadness, whatever it is, uncertainty, then you need to hold that like a mother or a father holds their child when they're upset. Don't just, this is not the time for that. So, because what we are doing, the whole intention is to water beneficial seeds, which is what Ollie and Michael say every week. It's what Ty says all the time. We're watering those seeds so that we do have more loving kindness with every person, every creature around us. So, I put my hands over my heart. Feel a breath in. Feel that warmth right here. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. Take a breath. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be happy. May all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. Shannon bowing out.
Very powerful. Wow. So now is.
I'm just going to shake it.
Oh, you're going to shake yours? Okay.
First of all, thank you, sister.
My pleasure, brother.
And I'm going to remind us here and remind folks at home, we leave up these videos on our YouTube channel. And I'm just thinking for myself and maybe for you, you might want to be going back to this one, right? And you might want to just, you might want to come and hear the readings or the song, but you also might want to come back and just check in on that and do this practice again. Because I was thinking, oh gosh, I don't know if I have all the words. And then I was like, oh, it's okay, because I can get it next time, right? And so that, yeah, I mean, I feel like I need to go further and further into that practice. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
So now is our solo saunter time. So this is our time where we kind of go where you feel guided to go or led to go. We're gonna have about 20 minutes where we can just go off. There is a prairie over here that people can walk in. This is all a natural play area, and so you can go off trail and go anywhere. Different times of year, worried about poison ivy. I'm not really worried right now. It's all pretty much died back, but anywhere. And I won't do what I did last week. I went in the natural play area and kind of got lost. Well, I didn't get lost, but Shannon and Michael thought I got lost and had to come looking for me because I didn't take a time implement, and I had no idea.
And none of us is young.
I know.
So we gotta make sure.
I know. They were afraid it was raining, and they were, yes, this happened to Scott when we were over there, like last year. He just disappeared, right? So, but
So if people here, if you do get lost and you're not going to come back, I don't know if you can have our phone number if you call us to let us know, so we don't have to send out the search parties. That's helpful.
Yeah, that was yes. It's happened twice now. Doesn't usually happen.
Rainy days.
All our rainy days, right? Rainy days.
Yeah, we only get lost because we go so far out when it's really pouring down rain. So that's telling you a little bit about the community. I'm just saying.
So we go out where we're called, where we feel it tugging. For about 20 minutes, we'll set a time and then meet back here. And then we have a time where people can share what they experience. Those at home, we will keep the screen on over here. You're welcome to go out into your yard. You're welcome to share in the chat with us. And we've lost signal so many times during this time. We hope we don't. We're just not going to move it. And hope we don't lose signal and lose you guys.
Move
We
the
do.
couple of chairs or something.
If we do, we'll try again.
Yeah, if we do lose signal, when we realize we've lost the signal, we'll restart it up again. So if that does happen, we hope you're able to join us again. And I want to say too that this sacred saunter time comes from, we were inspired by a book by Victoria Loers called Church of the Wild, and we were able to go and be presenters at a Church of the Wild conference up in Canada this past summer. And there's a new book coming out this spring, right? Do you remember the title of it?
No, but we'll figure it
I
out.
think it's the Church of the Wild Handbook.
Yeah, that's it.
And actually, there's going to be a little bit about us and our work at Sacred Ground that's going to be in that book as well, as they're taking examples of how people are experiencing Wild Church and almost like Shannon was saying, kind of playing with whatever models we have, playing with the model in ways that work for them. So, yeah. So we're thankful for all that, and we're invited in this to really be in dialogue and communion with the natural world as we go out there, and to just, it can be kind of hard. I know I do this with a men's group, and some of the guys have said, I'm not quite there yet, but I like the idea of attending to where you feel drawn rather than like, oh, I want to go this way. Well, I don't know. There's this, I'm just feeling drawn this way, and kind of attending to those little spiritual nudges. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it is about 11:25 now, so 11:45. We'll join back here for our sharing time. Is there any questions? Okay, so we'll invite the bell and then we'll go.
So 11:45.
I'm going to run to the bathroom and then I'll be back in this area. Okay, Mr. Miller, I'm going to run to the bathroom and then be back in this area. we'll have a time that folks want to share about their solar saunter, about the readings, about the song, about the meditation, or about their life, or anything. Now's our time to share that. A couple things about our sharing: we bow in and say our names, and bow out when we're done sharing. You're free to share. You're free to pass. Between each sharing, we have a couple moments of silence between each sharing, and just be mindful of time with your sharing. Any other important things?
If you're online and you'd like to share with us, you could share in the chat, and we'll try to share that with everyone as well.
If you'd like to be seen, you could come.
Yeah, if you're part of this circle and you'd like to share, if you're okay with your voice being heard, you could share from off camera. But if you're okay with being seen, you could come, and I'll actually probably vacate this seat. So if anybody wants to sit here,
okay. Or Scott, if you want to wave.
Yeah,
wave. I can move the camera too.
Yeah. So so maybe do the bell and
do the bell, and then just
and we're sometimes you get in our heads like, oh my gosh, do I want to share? Not, but the most important part is to listen. And then can we offer each other compassionate listening? So people are welcome to share, welcome to pass, or welcome to just listen.
Not bowing in. This time is always interesting because it's hard for me to be present. When I go wander off, and what I focused on was the meditation that Shannon gave, and the psalm that Michael read. In Psalm 36, verse 10, it says, give me a second here, this is from the English Book of Common Prayer. It says, continue your loving kindness to those who know you, and your favor to those who are true of heart. And what I was thinking is, Jane and I yesterday went to a bonfire with friends, and they voted differently than we did. And but there is a healthy dialogue based upon their experience why they voted the way they did. Even though Kaylee, my stepdaughter, felt very uncomfortable because of their stance on things, it was really good to slow down and be compassionate and just listen. And this person spoke out of her experience, not out of a dogma or doctrine, even though the branch of Christianity that she comes from is charismatic. But, one of the areas where Jane and I have struggled is finding a loving community. And our friend that organized the bonfire is trying to create a spiritual community that reflects what the church offers. And it's easy to go to a building, go to an organization, go to a church and have an instant community. But there's always rules that apply to join that community. You have to believe what they believe. Make sure that you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's. And there's judgment, usually. So finding a community that is organic and spiritual is hard. And we got to talk about that. and we're in a sacred space of this bonfire. We're able to share. And I was thinking about the meditation about wishing those well that are different than me. So, going along with that, this week I'm finishing the Sermon on the Mount. I'm a minister, so once a month in nursing homes, I create a church service, which is usually more liturgical because that's where I'm at. I get this from Michael. He and I are out of the same cloth. And I really felt led this year to go through the Sermon on the Mount because it was an election year and because of the divisiveness in our nation. So this week I'm doing chapter 7, and one of the passages says, "Do not judge lest you be judged." And don't remove the plank out of your own eye before you move the speck out of your brother's. So I'm going to think about that later when I go home and write my reflections. And it all goes with showing mercy, showing loving kindness.
Online we have, I think it's Tammy, I'm not sure, T, says, many blessings to all sentient beings. Oh wait, there's more. Sorry. Martha says, I'm so grateful for this group. And Stacy says, this was before. Thank you, Shannon. May you and may all be filled with loving kindness.
The publishing house associated with Thich Nhat Hanh is called Parallax Press. And I didn't know that word parallax a few years ago. And I mentioned earlier I'm a lover of words. And what parallax refers to, like if we see two trees and then we step, the one tree, let's say the front tree looks to the left, but then if we step and step and step, that front tree will look like it's to the right. And so I was playing that game a little bit with myself and my friends, the trees here, and just sort of, I could make you disappear because if I stand right here. And I was thinking of just my own life and how oftentimes I get in this, for lack of a better word, rut of like, there's just an obstacle, there's a barrier, it's impossible, I can't get from here to there. And you're like, well, maybe I can. There's if I can just move a little bit in my mind or in my body, and the phrase I've been using, I don't know if I think I shared it online as well. I'm doing this sacred saunter stuff about 3 times a week right now, and for me, it's continuous delight. I was looking at, we've got a young fellow over here who was there and had a big pile of leaves. I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm thinking a little bit like him. I'm just enjoying this, and part of that delight is I feel like I'm invited to learn again and again and again and again and again and again. And I'm a darn slow learner, so this works well. But yeah, so that was just today. And then I guess the last thing I'll share, and again, I feel like I'm in Mrs. Rourke's 2nd grade class right now. She was a great teacher, by the by. But like, if I was to tell Mrs. Rourke, and I will speak to Mrs. Rourke in the spirit world here, Mrs. Rourke, look at all these leaves. Like, some people might say these are the same color, but they're not, are they? They're kind of different, but it's real, just subtle. And I was touching some of the leaves, and some of them, especially on the oaks, which don't tend to lose all their leaves, they still have a softness to them because they're going to stick around a while. And then just looking at like one leaf, like, I mean, I love art. You know, I love going to art museums and stuff like that. Like, dang, like, you know, I don't know, we could write an art paper on this fellow right here. So I'm just grateful for, and there were some that were more exuberant in their expression, I'll say. But those were still stuck on the tree branches. I didn't want to move them. And then the final thing was just also leaves that had fallen, but not all the way, because they got lodged between a couple of branches. And I don't know if I'll be able to remember to look back, but I'm just curious, like, how long are you staying there? Will you be there for like a week? And, you know, then all sorts of metaphors come into my mind. So again, I'm grateful. And I'll empty this chair in case somebody wants to step there. And you're welcome to share off camera as well, of course.
Shannon bowing in. It wasn't until I came back to the circle that I came in contact with what I'm going to share, which brought me so much delight, and it's creation of all these bark and branches and leaves. I did a lot like that shade all the time when I was a kid, and that's one of the things I love about intergenerational gatherings is we learn from different ages, different walks of life, everything, even more so when we have different generations. And I'm old enough to be your grandmother, so even though I don't have grandkids of my own, it's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you and your parents here today. Shannon, bowing out.
I think I'm not missing.
Ollie bowing out. I'm glad Michael mentioned the word delight, and then you used that word again. I was trying, putting a name on how I'm feeling, and I'm very delighted to be here. A couple things I saw on my walk where I saw a cardinal over in the natural play area. I saw a cardinal. They're easy to see, a big red bird. And then I saw these other like bluebirds. They weren't blue jays, but they had blue on them. There were two of them. And then there was another bird. And you think it's November. The cardinals stick around, but these bluebirds, they at least don't come to our yard, at least that I've noticed. But to see all of a sudden at least five birds that were all right there, very delightful. It led me down into the natural play area and seeing, a lot of the trees are all the way lost their leaves. Some trees that keep their leaves are there. Then there's all this green. I wish you can see it around us. It's got to be honeysuckle. I noticed it last week. Because the honeysuckle is very vibrant green still. And the last thing I noticed walking up, I looked down and there's a leaf and it's holding a puddle of water in it. Just there, a good amount of water. It's been raining lately, so I don't know. And then I looked and there was another one. It was just the right shape to hold some water. So just delight in being here and being able to be with all of you and being able to share this online and delight. Ollie bowing out. You've got it. Want me to check since I was the one checking?
Yes.
Yes.
You're better
Yeah.
at this than me.
And Shannon says she's colored in her book. So yeah, so I think I shared. So hopefully I shared everyone that made a comment today.
Thank you all. And you want to give our announcements before I get the...
I'm going to have
Oh.
a time for prayers and concerns.
Okay, very good.
So if anybody would have likes a prayer, has a prayer or a joy or a concern, let us have a moment to express some of those, and online too.
And we can also just raise them up in our hearts.
We can raise them up in our hearts too.
Stop bowing in. Continued concern for my dad. He had some TIAs lately. And then our friends Jeremy and Jenny.
And I just want to mention to everyone who we've been prayers for this little boy, Peter, for the last over a year, and he passed away last Sunday. I think I had mentioned that he had been really sick, but yeah, I've been doing the power practice where you imagine a being going to the light, and very very sad, but holding his family in our hearts and his spirit. So he's been in our hearts for over a year. So prayers for Peter and his family.
Shannon bowing in. My prayer of joy is for not only our little dog Pepper, but all the dogs that bring so much joy and so much living, like right this minute. That's what they do. And since we live, at least I live in my head way too much, and I dance every morning just in my house with my dog, before I come here on Sundays, and she's just such a special little girl, and she started life in a very bad situation, and a rescue got her and her pups off the side of the street 2.5 years ago, and she's been our little girl for about that long. So just nothing against cats or any other beings, but this is focused on dogs and that connection with dogs and people, and how much they just bring us so much joy. Shannon bowing out.
Just want to, I don't know how any of us are supposed to hold in our heart the world, but along with areas that we've talked about often, like Gaza and Ukraine, and I know Sudan is facing just a horrific humanitarian crisis right now due to war, or probably due to climate and exasperated by war. And I know my brother's going through some pretty severe health issues, and my godson, my nephew Keith, is going through a really, really, really hard time too. And there's so many people that we don't know, that we've never seen, or that we've just passed on the street. We're just, life is really challenging and hard, and just want to send out that loving kindness that maybe, even though they don't know any of us, that somebody's sitting alone in a room and just feeling despair or overcome with frustration and anger, that they could just feel a little bit of loving kindness seep them through the cracks around the door, coming into their lives, coming into their beings.
All prayers spoken and unspoken, we lift them up.
Thanks for children's voices.
Thank you. Yes, that is a great joy. Great joy. With our youngest just turning 18. I am happy to hear.
No.
November 1st.
A couple weeks
But it's
ago.
been a couple weeks. But there's still a transition. So announcements are every Wednesday now we're having a Bible study at 4 o'clock on YouTube and on Zoom, but it's up there on YouTube for anybody who wants to join it, and it's going on through the middle of December, so it'll be this Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and if you go to theholynow.org and contact us, then we could get you on our email list. You can find out how to find out where we're meeting all the time. Also find out about the Bible study and how you might want to join it on Zoom. On Fridays, we are meeting for a wild church here in Columbus near the OSU area. So that is Friday at 4. And then we'll be meeting back here, not online, just for wild church next Sunday. Next time we'll be online on a Sunday is 2 weeks from now. We'll do a mindfulness service. That'll be the Sunday after. Is that right? Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Sunday after Thanksgiving. We'll be meeting online and at the Folk House on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So again, go to theholynow.org to find out more information, to get on our contact list, and to support us.
And in terms of support, we know, getting back to that, what do they call it? Giving Tuesday or something. So we are a 501c3. Any and all support is appreciated. We're rather small, so a small to medium-sized contribution to us has a big impact. So it is appreciated. And also another way that we hope to water beneficial seeds and that you're supporting Sacred Ground is with our book, A Buddhist Christian Mother Earth Christmas. It's I think it's 41 days of musing, something like that. And the first musing is actually the day before Thanksgiving. So you can order it now on Amazon. If you look up Buddhist Christian Mother Earth Christmas, you'll find it.
Or Ollie and Michael Malley.
Or Ollie and Michael Malley, you'll find it. So and we've had some lovely feedback on that book. So we hope folks continue to enjoy it.
So lead us out in prayer.
So I invite us into a place of prayer, a place of mindfulness. I'll invite the bell to sound. Our Great Spirit, we hear in both Buddhist and Christian tradition from 2,500 years ago and 2,000 years ago of the deep value, the abiding value of loving kindness. We give thanks for being offered a very specific practice that we can go back and look to again and again. The practice that Shannon led us in today, loving kindness. And maybe when we hit those moments, a lot of people, especially around stress around the election and things like that, where people they kind of hit that switch and start to get anxious, or they're feeling frustrated with this side or the other side. Well, when those moments come, maybe we can instead take that 4 or 5 minutes and enter into a space of prayer and well-wishing. Life is amazing here on this little blue-green ball. Oh, Great Spirit, so often I forget we're on this little ball traveling into space. So often I forget the incredible variety of beings with which we humans share this space. So often I forget the long history of ancestors, human and otherwise, who have inhabited this space. And I know in my spirit, or I believe in my spirit, that when I can remember these things, practices, connections, the vastness, the sacrality of it all, that it can help move towards positive change, peace, and kindness, and love, and justice, and a world where more and more the beneficial seeds are watered in us all. Oh, Great Spirit, I ask, at least for me, to keep tapping me on the shoulder, keep reminding me, keep saying, it's here, the goodness. See it, manifest it, help nurture it. Please keep inviting me. And I'll dare say, please keep inviting us to see, to hear, to feel, to experience, and to help nourish and nurture all that is worthy and helpful and healing for all. We give thanks. Peace and amen. Thank you folks for joining us, and thank you folks for joining us, and we hope to see y'all again.
And Michael, do you know that it's Celtic Advent?
Celtic Advent.
It starts November 15th, and it goes 40 days and follows the adventures of St. Brennan.
Whoa, I need to learn about that.
I downloaded a sample of the book. There's a chaplain I follow on Facebook. He works at Nationwide.
We stopped, right?
I'm going to stop.